Hello and happy new year to all you lovely people out there that are following us YouTubers talking about YouTube stuff. You must love our channels so much to want to watch us waffle on about this stuff that nobody is interested in except us. So good job if you are here watching. And we have had some comments from people in the past, so I know people are watching. So it's really nice. Keep them coming, and there will be a little bit of asking for comments later on as well, because why should you watch this? Us waffling about YouTube. It's the good thing about this is that you can talk back to us, and we don't know everything that we need to know about YouTube, which is why we talk about it quite a lot. We know nothing. So tell us what your opinions are of these things, and this one is quite interesting. Anyway, so I'm going to quickly introduce our panelists here. And tonight we have returning after a long hiatus is Control Alt Reese, who I'm going to say is Mr. Atari, and this will become relevant.
Oh.
And alongside him on my screen, he's waved, so I'm just taking that as hello. Alongside him on my screen is CRG Glenn, who I'm going to call Mr. Amiga.
Hello.
And next to him is Polymat, who's he's Mr. whatever the hell he fancies doing this week. Probably ThinkPad batteries or something like that.
Love it. Hey, everyone.
And everybody kind of started calling me Mr. Spectrum. And this is where we're going to get down to the nitty gritty of this. The reason that we're talking about this subject tonight is that Reese has been pondering something.
Yeah, no, I was. So obviously, it's been that kind of end of year kind of period, Christmas and New Year, and it's a time of year that a lot of people kind of take to reflect on things and how the year's been, and kind of their sort of goals and aspirations for the coming year. And there's been a lot of YouTubers who've been talking about retiring or semi-retiring and stuff like that. And a bit of a recurring theme is that stuff kind of declining viewer numbers and ad revenue and that kind of stuff. And it got me thinking about sort of the best ways to kind of protect against that. And I mean, this is still a sort of a half-formed thought in my mind, and that's kind of why I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of bounce it off a few of you guys and see what your thoughts are as well. But I suppose what it boils down to is that there are a lot of channels out there who kind of do a really fantastic job of catering to their existing audience. But what they perhaps don't sort of focus on is kind of trying to grow that audience, and maybe the best way to do that and to try to sort of appeal to people outside of their kind of existing viewer base. And it kind of got me pondering about that and kind of the best ways to go about that, and the best ways to go about that without kind of alienating your existing audience as well. So yeah, the whole thing's a bit of a potential minefield, and thought it would be a good topic for debate.
Okay, so your question that you posted in the Big Red Arrow Discord was to do with exactly as you said, should channels always be in growth mode, was your exact words, i.e.
Yes.
trying to attract new viewers, or should they be catering to their existing subscriber base? And I was just commenting that we'd already had that in the list, and it was one that I was thinking, should we make this into a topic for a single video, a single discussion rather than one of our little bite-sized ones. So yeah, I'm quite interested in what people think about this, and I know we've got a varied range of opinions here tonight. So I'm going to go to Matt first, because you're actually, both you and Glenn in some ways like to mix things up. I know Glenn is being slightly pigeonholed into the Mr. Amiga thing lately, but we'll get to that in a sec. But Matt, you're kind of just starting out, really, aren't you? You've got lots of views, but you haven't got that much content on your channel yet. Are you feeling yourself being pushed into any kind of corners yet, or is it something you feel that you can, be creative and do whatever you like?
It's tough, which is honestly why I wanted to kind of participate in this one, because it really hit home for me. So I'd say that it makes sense to me, and to kind of first off answer your question, I do feel that I am starting to get pushed into specific types of content, and that is just because of the large discrepancy of views that I've gotten from some videos versus others, right? Now I'm incredibly fortunate because even my least viewed videos are, you know, still over 1,000 views and things like that. Um, but my most viewed videos are in the like 100,000 plus, right? So I have a huge gradient between my least and my most. And so as I start to turn out new content, um, I think I knew that like things like the leather case, right? I think that video I had a suspicion would be on the lower end, but it actually hasn't been, right? It's been in the middle. And then I thought that things like my 3D printed Apple case was going to be on the higher end, and it's one of my lowest. But if I look at the ones that have really killed it, right? It's the unboxing of a new old stock computer, it's the battery build, right? It's the more kind of technical stuff. And so it is absolutely in the back of my mind thinking that, you know, maybe the YouTube algorithm, because it's really even not about my subscribers right now, right? It's because I am such a young channel. I don't have a large subscriber base that I know what they want yet, and I don't even know if they know, right? They may have just been like, oh, that's interesting, I'm gonna do that. But from the videos that I've gotten, most of my subscribers have come from those ones with the biggest views. So I know that YouTube is going to continue to push those ones. And so, yeah, I feel that I am getting pigeonholed already, even though I'm still trying to find my voice, find my niche. And yeah, so it's really interesting.
Excellent. Okay, so Glenn, your turn. Do you kind of dread having to make something that's non-Amiga, or dread the
No,
results
definitely
of it?
not. I mean, obviously, over the last wee while, the majority of my videos have focused on Amiga, but I've had some good success with other platforms as well. And it's funny that you called yourself Mr. Spectrum, and I'm currently working on Spectrum Plus.
Oh, nice,
But where was the first place I went to ask questions? It
Mr.
was your
Spectrum.
Discord. It was your Discord,
Oh, Mr. Spectrum's Discord then.
Mr. Spectrum's Discord, So I think that
Yeah,
just
that's
sort
where
of
I go as well.
comes naturally, that each of us will, I think, just naturally just get not pigeonholed as such, but we'll have our own area that
Your
people
comfort
will
zone.
associate us with us. People will associate us with a platform as such, maybe more than others. But I do know that a lot of my subscriber base early on came from when I was doing a lot of PC stuff, and there were some certain names that I would have seen in the comments of every video. And because I've been focused on more Amiga stuff lately, I'll be honest, those names seem to have disappeared, which is somewhat maybe worrying. I do have a lot of PC stuff that I want to do in the future. I want to get back into that, but I'm also conscious that the Amiga stuff is sort of the bread and butter of my channel, and it's that which does the best.
Okay, so you say that's the bread and butter. What's the fear here that if you did something that did really bad, what in your eyes is the damage that can be done? Is there damage that can be done, or is it just in
No,
your
I
mind?
don't think there's any damage per se, other than just dwindling views, perhaps, on a video.
Okay.
You're gonna have less views, less interaction on a video if it's something that's not entertaining the core of my audience.
Lee, can I jump in with a question?
Oh yes, Matt, go.
Yes, one of the things that really has been on my mind is, and when we talk about damaging a channel potentially, does YouTube, right, like have a memory, right? Do they rate video by video? Every video that you post, they're going to treat it the same. They're going to try to take keywords or descriptions or find out some way and then try to push that? Or does YouTube actually establish a view on what your channel is and who your audience should be, right? Because I think that if you do, in my mind, if you do something that's outside of what YouTube thinks that you are, right, they may push it less or not push it to the right audience, which may not give it to you. But if YouTube doesn't do that, right, and they go just by video and they don't have a real quote unquote memory of the channel, then it wouldn't be damaging, right? But I'm interested to kind of hear your thoughts.
I personally don't think YouTube do that. I mean, I have speculated that myself before in the past, but I don't think so. And there is evidence on this stream to counter that, with Reese and his solar experience, shall we say?
Yeah, good point.
Reese, do you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I mean, of course, obviously the algorithm is ever changing, but yeah, I've kind of always been known as an Atari guy. My videos specifically on Atari stuff always do really well, but yeah, the solar video was a real outlier because that one took off really, really quickly, and that was all kind of search driven early on. I noticed that a lot of the early traffic to that video, as it was kind of starting to ramp up, was purely from YouTube search. I don't know if it was particularly well optimized for SEO, for tags in the description and stuff like that, but that certainly sort of helped to propel it well beyond my my existing audience. So that was quite an interesting one.
Okay, I'd like to answer Matt's question as well. I think that it feels like YouTube has a memory, but from everything that they say and from people that seem to be in the know say, each and I've got evidence of this as well, that each video does stand on its own merits and it doesn't really matter. You can have 0 subscribers and have a viral video. Yeah, you've just got to make a video that people
You
want
can
to watch.
absolutely, but I mean,
Yeah.
as we've talked about on Discord before, as I've said before, I mean, I do think that your subscriber base is the basis of your viewership. It's no accident that
definitely.
that the channels with
But I think
100,000 subscribers are getting 30,000
all that
views.
does, yeah, I think all that does is makes that first initial phase of when a video is released accelerates. If you've got 10,000 subscribers, you get through that first 5,000 views a lot faster than someone with no subscribers. If you've got 0 subscribers, you're going to struggle to get those first 5,000 views, but it can still go viral a year later. It can still happen. But yeah, subscriber bases that's a hot topic for another discussion. I think Glenn will want to be involved in that one.
I mean, that's kind of what happened to me. I published my first video, right? I got 2, maybe 4 subscribers. 3 months later, it just took off. YouTube decided to push it, and I got 3,000 subscribers within a couple of weeks. And that was kind of the thing that made me go, oh, interesting.
Fantastic.
Like people might like this, because I thought for the longest time, like I put all this work into this big video that was my battery rebuild, and it just went nowhere. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Like I didn't have any expectation, but yeah, I was not going to do that again.
I can honestly say that's never happened. My videos, will either do really well within a week, say, or they'll just peter out and tick along.
Yeah, but
there's never been one getting picked up X amount of months later and just jumping.
Oh, I think that's coming for you because your content has changed over the last year, and I think
so?
I think you've you're a bit more rounded and polished now than you were previously. I mean, I've always been a big fan of your channel.
Lately, but it's not
yeah,
even
that bit's quite polished. Yeah, can you turn that light off?
Rounded and polished.
But I think it's going to come to you eventually, if not sooner.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can see a difference in the quality of my videos over the last while. Hopefully they are improving. But I mean, I suppose counter to what I just said, there's no videos that have been taken off, but I have seen people who are new to the channel because you recognize the name obviously in comments, and they have been going back through the back catalogue commenting on things. So
right. So Reese, you you posted this question, and growth mode is your channel in growth mode? I know the answer is definitely yes.
Yeah, so just kind of going back to that solar video. Obviously, within a couple of months, it had like 800,000 views, which is something I like to talk about all the time and kind of bring up whenever possible. But I kind of tried to sort of capitalize on that by doing some follow up videos on that, thinking that they would go crazy as well. And the next one I did after that did do reasonably well, but after that, the solar videos actually kind of started to sort of peter off and kind of reach the same kind of background level as my other retro computing stuff, which I think is a good indication that YouTube does kind of look at stuff video by video. And it was just something about that one specific video that it liked that it decided to push to a wider audience.
But also, if you think about it, think about those other videos, if you'd have released those without even the solo video ever existing, would they have done as well as they did? Because they still got tens of thousands of views, didn't they?
Well, yeah, I mean,
did they grow off of the back of the solo video?
That's the big question, isn't it? But yeah, and obviously, kind of this talk about being in growth mode, and I think there's kind of this obviously this assumption that comes along with growing a channel that you kind of have to, or I've certainly heard it said that you kind of have to be prepared to leave your old audience behind and kind of cater to this new audience. And I had no intention of ever becoming a solo channel, which is why I shut that all down as soon as it kind of started to get really big, because it was just derailing everything. But it does make me wonder if I'd kind of doubled down on that and sort of fully invested in that topic. Where would things be today? I can't imagine a lot of my existing subscribers would still be watching, but would I have kind of moved on to a much bigger audience, and would that be a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it would be a bad thing because it's a topic that I'm not really all that interested in, and I don't want to make videos on stuff that I'm not interested in just because they're popular. So, and then it took quite a while for the channel to kind of recover after that. But I have seen it. I have seen, certainly in the past few months, things sort of start to turn around, and things are actually growing on the repairs and the retro computing side of things. I mean, I had a video just before Christmas that got 100,000 views, which is really, kind of an insane level for my channel. And yeah, just kind of that sort of ever increasing background, kind of level of views that you see in analytics all the time when it's been a few weeks between videos and stuff like that. That's kind of slowly on the increase as well. So yeah, it's if you're trying to keep your existing audience happy, but also kind of reach slightly out of your comfort zone and kind of cover somewhat related things and try to kind of package it in a way with kind of somewhat clickbaity thumbnails and titles and things to try to push it a bit wider. It's quite a difficult balancing act. It's quite a difficult thing to juggle, I think.
One of the reasons that I was interested in talking about this is because, when Reese, when you posted that question, it really rang true for me, because from a business sense, right, there's different stages in a business too, right? There's early stages, there's growth mode, there's kind of the post, right? There's expansion. And any business that rests on their laurels, that just kind of keeps doing what they're doing, either if it's a software tech business or others, right, like they're going to stagnate, they're going to end up like losing. And so from just like a philosophical standpoint, when we talk about growth mode, I think that you should always be investing some part of your time in, maybe it's not exploring drastically different content, but maybe thinking about different ways to do things, or thinking about bringing another demographic or audience into what you're doing, or things like that. And I think if you're not doing that, and specifically for the creators that I've seen that aren't doing that, right, they're having a rough time, because I think there's been a kind of a huge boost over the years in people that like looking for this specific type of content within our collective niche. But it's I don't think that if you're not constantly trying to get better at what you do, and in order to make things interesting or keep things interesting, then I do think that you're going to decline. And so my strong opinion, clearly nobody can figure that out, is that you should always be in growth mode. From a business side, you should always be investing in R&D and trying different things and bringing in a new audience. That's kind
The
of
thing
where
I
I'm
would
at.
pick out of that there would be the word business. I mean, do any of us see this YouTube thing as a business? I mean, I personally don't. I just see this as just a hobby. So, I mean, yeah, I want to be in growth mode in terms of trying to improve, but I think I'm reasonably happy with the style of a CRG video, or the way I present things. I don't know if I want to make any massive changes there.
I think that's a really valid point. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all in this, basically. None of us are making a living out of this, and it is a hobby, but it depends. I've heard that argument from people that are not as polished as yourself, Glenn, where they've said, I want to stick to doing what I'm doing. I don't care about views. And I can't get my head around that, because
Well,
if you're
I
putting
mean,
yourself on YouTube, you want as many people as possible to see what you're doing because it
of
gives
course
you
you
kind
do.
of that validation
You know,
and
and yes, I can sit here and say this is a hobby, and I'm not really that fussed about views or subscribers or anything like that. But you know, of
you are.
course I am. You know, it's the measure of your YouTube channel, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's
Smash
how
that like
people
button.
We all like
compare
to
their
see the line
YouTube
go up,
channels.
don't we?
Yeah,
We all like
do.
to see the
and
Yeah, we
line
want to
go
see
up.
those green arrows.
and even if it's not a commercial business, it doesn't mean that we aren't putting out a product that we don't have consumers, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of, and I don't plan on making this a business for myself. Like, I want to be clear. And by the way, I'm leaving things, my opinion open to change in the future.
Mm.
But you know, from that standpoint of, we want views, we want people, we want validation, like whatever the commercials are that we get back from it, whether it's purely validation or kind of community or things like that, you know, I think we need to be thinking about, like, the consumers of our content, right? And are they going to want to continue to consume it? And how are we going to have to grow or change or in order to do that? And like, look, if your creative outlet is just putting out content that you love and you enjoy making what you're doing and you enjoy doing what you're doing, do it, right? Like, absolutely. For me specifically, though, I'm really curious to know how many people want to watch, enjoy what I'm doing. And the basis for my whole channel is self-improvement, right? I want to learn new things constantly. And so I think even the getting my YouTube channel bigger is part of that learning experience too.
Excellent. Reese, so you've invested quite heavily in your channel recently. Are you in this for the business? Are you there just for the moolah?
My approach with my channel has always been to, I mean, first and foremost, it's a thing that I do for enjoyment. It's a hobby. It's a kind of a way of combining hobbies and enhancing those hobbies. So obviously, I'm always sort of tinkering with hardware and projects and that kind of thing. And I also enjoy the process of filmmaking. So combining those two and putting that stuff on YouTube is kind of quite a logical, quite a logical thing for me to do. That said, obviously I have kind of expanded into the studio and stuff lately. I'm not there today, as you can see, but I'm very fortunate in my day job in that I kind of I'm a contractor and I work on kind of a day rate, and my time is very flexible. And if my channel did grow to the point where it was actually making enough money to justify spending a couple of days a week making YouTube videos and then the rest of the week sort of working on that, I am actually in a position where I could split my time to do that. And I must admit that having done some reflection recently, I don't think that would necessarily be a bad thing. And I think it's something that I actually kind of starting to sort of aspire to and kind of grow it into a second job. I wouldn't want to look at it as primarily a commercial thing, because obviously if you take a hobby, take something that you love and turn it into your job, then inevitably that's going to lead to you hating it and burnout and all the other stuff that you obviously lots of kind of YouTubers have been talking about lately. But it's fun to kind of think about it and dream about it and push things and see how far it does go, I think.
I think it's fair to
Okay.
say that of all of us. I mean, obviously you're ahead of the rest of us, Reese, in terms of your subscribership and whatnot. But I mean, yeah, I'd love to be in a position where I could tinker in here full time, semi full time, whatever it may be. Maybe one
Adrian
day.
style.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Yeah, well, there's no reason that we can't just keep doing this, having fun, and then one day,
Yeah.
if things have
it
grown to
grows
that point,
naturally to that point, then fantastic.
that's
If
kind
not,
of
though,
where
I'm quite happy to be tinkering in here and torturing people on the internet.
torturing
Yeah, I mean,
people and ZX Spectrums on the internet.
Yeah.
it's kind of a similar story to how I got to where I am with my day job, really, in that I just thought I'd try it, set up my own business and give it a go and see kind of where things went, and then opportunities come along and you say yes to them and you kind of keep open-minded and see how far it goes, and then I mean, I'm kind of where I am today. But why not take the same approach with YouTube and see where that goes.
Yeah, and keep improving. Add something else to another arrow to your quiver every time that you do make a video. keep improving, and one day you'll be so good at this, you'll be able to just fart out million view videos without even thinking about it. So what about experimenting? If we go back to the whole question about the content that we make, and should we be outside of our niche? I like this one. Who's experimented here with something that isn't? Oh, so Matt, you're probably not going to be so into this. Well, I suppose you are, because you've recently done an interview video as well.
It's true.
But
Yeah.
what about experimenting outside of what your expected content is supposed to be in the eyes of your viewership?
It was that interview, right? I think even though you wouldn't be able to, based on the content that I've put out, you wouldn't be able to pigeonhole me into a specific type of hardware or even hardware or things like that. But they've all been projects, right? It's all been, hey, watch me build this cool thing. The interview was like just left field, right? It was because I don't even talk during my videos, and this was a whole video of me talking. Well, granted, it was more of Ian talking, the guest that I had on, but no, it was I really wanted to try it to see a couple of things. One, it was also a way for me to get out a video with all my new camera equipment and with my new workflow. And so that was kind of a forcing function for me to learn that. But I didn't know how it was going to go. And it's definitely not been one of my best performing videos, but it hasn't been my lowest, right? It's over 1,000 views in the first few days, which is great. It's kind of tapered off. We'll see if it picks up again. I wasn't as concerned. I did think that it wasn't going to do well. I was hoping it wasn't, really for the guy that I had on, right? I didn't want to have him take all this time to chat with me, and then the video tanked and didn't do very well. So I'm happy to know that it's not one of my lowest or one of my worst performing. But yeah, I was concerned that, is YouTube going to pigeonhole me now, or are they just never going to know what I'm about and therefore not know how to position me correctly? And yeah, it was a tough one.
It's good on you for jumping in with that style of video, because interviewing people is, a completely different skill set and it's something you do need to do. You need to actually practice and experiment with and find out what works. What about you, Glenn? Have you been
It's definitely something
experimenting?
I couldn't do. You couldn't put me in front of someone trying to interview them. I would just sit and smile at them and not have a clue what to say.
That's because you're a lovely guy.
Yeah, I suppose it depends well, I suppose it depends what you mean by outside of my, sort of niche.
What's the
Are
wildest
you going
thing?
to call that just Amiga? Well, in which case, yes, I've done Spectrums and Ataris and or a Atari and PC stuff, But other than going back to the very start of the channel when I did a few game related things, I think it's
You've
been
stuck to you?
fairly well focused on hardware, retro hardware of some shape, form, or another. I'm not really sure of anything else that I would want to put on YouTube, to be honest with you.
Okay, so the hot tub is not going to be seen on YouTube anytime soon.
No, I mean, I could probably bring a chicken in. There's chickens out there, but they might just get in the way, make a mess.
Yeah, but you'll be embarrassed if they got more views than you.
Well, yeah,
I've been thinking about my cat actually. So I have experimented, not with chickens. I experimented with a TV repair recently because I've been compared to Adrian a couple of times, mostly because someone sent me sweets once, and not in any kind of quality way. But I thought I'd give a TV repair a crack, because that was one of his big breakout videos, a TV repair, trash picked TV. And my TV repair video really did badly. But it's not to say that I won't ever do different things, because one of the dangers of staying inside of your tracks is that you get bored, and there's only so many spectrums that I can actually film in different ways, because most of them break in this exactly the same way. So finding the interesting story in ZX Spectrums was fine at the start when I was experimenting and learning and discovering all these different things. But now I've seen pretty much, well, I've seen a lot of it, and it's getting more difficult to find things. But that's part of the art of making YouTube videos, isn't it? Is looking for that story and looking for that angle and
Yeah.
finding
It's funny you should say it like that, Lee, because I have another couple of Amigas to recap at some point in the future, and I'm wondering, do I even make a video on it?
No.
Because I've done a few now, and I mean, changing capacitors in one Amiga is the same, pretty much the same as
Yeah.
changing them in them all.
Well, find a different angle. You need to find the different story. But if it's just a
I'll put
straight
the
up
camera on the
recap,
other side of me then.
yeah, but there you go. Do it underwater. Do it in the hot tub.
But I do actually
Reese,
have a monitor to fix as well at some point, and it's a new
there
monitor.
you go.
So
Well,
maybe there you go.
You've got my TV repair to pit yourself against. See if you can beat that in views. So
Challenge
Reese
accepted.
likes to experiment. Reese, I've heard about you and your experimental wiles. What do you think? Is there anything on your channel, or is that basically the solo video? And look how that went.
Yeah, I mean that was just a case of something I was fiddling with, and I thought, well, I'll point the camera at it and make a video, and I didn't expect it to go down very well at all with my audience. But there you go. I think that story's kind of been well covered. But yeah, people seem to see me as an Atari guy, perhaps understandably, as I collect Atari stuff and have a lot of it. But I really do sort of try hard to kind of push beyond that and cover PC stuff and kind of stuff outside of that. I did the interview with Clint from LGR last year. That's the one and only interview I've ever done on my channel. That was a weird story because I'd noticed that he'd kind of commented on some of my stuff and sort of said that he'd been watching my channel, and I sent him an email and said, oh, would you be interested in having a chat sometime? And he replied very enthusiastically saying, oh yeah, I'd love to talk to you, kind of thing. And that was when we kind of just decided to record it and just upload it to my channel. And
What a lovely man he is.
He is genuinely, yeah, he is exactly as he comes across on camera. He swears a lot more when he's not being recorded, but other than that,
Don't we all?
Good that we get Duncan in the Discord now.
Yes,
bleep.
But yeah, I kind of, my second channel is kind of, I've done a lot of experimental stuff on there. Like I've done the podcast stuff, the Reese Rambles stuff, and I do like some quite off the cuff unscripted videos that are a bit rambling and kind of go nowhere. And it's quite a big contrast to my sort of heavily scripted stuff that I do on my main channel. But I enjoy that. That's kind of a big creative outlet for me. But yeah, who knows? Who knows what's next? I mean, I'm working on a video at the moment about a weird Japanese PC that I bought on Bai, which is something I've not really covered on the channel before, but still sort of well within my, my area. And then the next one, what's the next one? I think I've decided what the next one's going to be, but yeah, I mean, the reason I called my channel Control Alt Reese in the first place was because I kind of wanted a vaguely tech angle to it, but I didn't want to sort of restrict myself to any particular thing. I didn't want to call it the Atari guy or whatever, Retro Reese or some of the other ideas that came up at the time. It was like, no, I need something that's quite wide ranging because I have a very short attention span and I tend to jump between projects and who knows what might happen. But yeah, seems to have served me well so far anyway.
So you actually touched on something there that I wanted to bring up, which was second channels. And I know we have a range of opinions here because you and I, Reese, have second channels, quite successful ones in the realms of second channels. We're both in the 1,000 subscriber range, and that was actually something that I did almost as an experiment. In fact, my first video was 3.5 hour me sitting in front of my computer just going through my photographs from the previous year, which I'm never going to do again. But that's it's something I just had to do and get out there. But I really like the idea of a second channel because it's something that can actually grow your first channel's subscriber base because you can do stuff on there that's not going to damage your main channel, but can actually get some views, can get some attention in different ways with a different audience, and you can be a lot more expansive on there. You can take risks and do things that you wouldn't normally do, and you never know. Something can, it's throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks, which pair of knickers sticks to the wall. That's not a no. Don't rewind that bit. But
No, you've got to leave that
so
bit in.
Matt, I'm not editing this at all. Matt, what do you think? Second channel. I know that you haven't got one, and you've only got a few videos on your main channel at the moment. But how about that? How do you feel about a second channel?
I've set one up. It's called Poly Chat, and it was specifically for all of my non-project work, right? So this interview that I just did would have probably been a great fit for it, but I couldn't bring myself to post it on that channel because it didn't have any subscribers, and I didn't want. I wanted some return for the person that I was interviewing, so that he got some exposure and things like that. I mean, only 1,200 views right now isn't a ton, but it's something, right? And so I didn't want to do all that and just put it on a channel with no subscribers and have that be the first video. But I got to be honest, I still struggle on. I'm still trying to figure out what my main channel is, and so having a second channel I think is going to be valuable for me in the future. Right now, though, I don't know. I don't know if it's too early to bifurcate content to start. And so that's something I struggle with every time I post a video.
There's probably two ways of looking at that. And maybe it's a good thing to do now if you're thinking about it, because then, it's not important to release regularly on a second channel. You can just have it there and do things when you're ready. Or maybe you should be focusing on your main channel. And Glenn will have something to say about this, because we've had this conversation.
We've
before,
had this conversation a few times.
So,
no
Glenn,
second channel.
what is your second channel's name going to be?
I don't know. No second channel yet. Maybe I'll call it that. No second channel.
No second channel. No second chances.
No, I suppose it maybe comes back to what I said earlier on there, Lee. I can't really think of anything else to put on YouTube. Well, that's not true. I can't think of anything else that I'd want to put on YouTube. So what would I put on a second channel?
I think we already decided it was going to be chickens.
Yeah.
The
Chickens
belong to the wife.
Yeah, I mean, I've done ducks
You can
on
edit
my
that bit
second
out.
channel.
You have, that's right. You have done ducks in your second channel.
And bees.
I think the one thing I'm very conscious of when I am producing stuff for the second channel is that that's time that I could be spending on the main channel. I'm making silly things.
I was just about to mention that.
Yeah, silly things that make me happy.
My time, my time for making videos is pretty limited. So anytime I'd have to spend making additional videos for a second channel, I wouldn't want to detract from the main channel. I suppose maybe one difference between me and you guys, though, is that because I don't script anything, everything is a wee bit rough around the edges. What else can I strip back as such to make a second channel easier?
Yeah.
I suppose I can cut down on the amount of editing and whatnot, but you still need to do a certain amount, to make something that somebody's going to watch and enjoy.
I do. I think my experiences with the main channel is when I'm in the flow and I've got plenty of time, I've got loads of content going on there. I'm not even thinking about the second channel. But when I start to get crunched for time and I don't have time to actually make a video that I think is worthy of going on the main channel, that's when I turn to the second channel, just as my way of getting something out. So I'm still actually, my face is still out there, and I can still talk to the people that actually care about what I'm doing. So,
I suppose the mini build videos type things would maybe work on a second channel.
Yeah,
the be in between videos, and I do have a couple of other ideas to expand that mini video thing. So we'll see how that goes, and maybe one day there'll be CRG2. There you are, very original.
How did you come up with that?
I've been sitting here thinking about it for the last 5 minutes. I mean,
A whole team of people thinking about that for the last 5 minutes.
Whole team of chickens thinking about it. I think my conclusion on that question, should you always be in growth mode, attracting new people or whatever? Yes, to an extent. I mean, for me, I'm pretty happy in the niche where I am, but the growth mode for me is trying to improve the content of each video while staying within the same realm of content. You know, I don't want to go and start making videos about something completely different, chickens. I want to keep doing the retro computer stuff, and I just want to try and improve every video slightly, and hopefully that is a means of growing the channel.
Yeah,
Perfect. Reese?
Yeah, no, that's certainly the best way to do it. I mean, you know, every video try to make some small improvement, and then after, you know, 10, 20, 50 videos, you find that they all kind of compound, and you end up with this, you know, you end up so much further along than you were when you very first started. But yeah, I think the thing is just not to stagnate, really, and viewers will recognise that. You know, I think maybe there are. I don't. I don't want to say anything too controversial here, but I think the temptation. I think the temptation once the channel gets to a certain size is to kind of say, right, I've got to keep my existing viewers happy. I'm going to keep doing stuff the same way that I've always done because I know that I'm going to get a certain number of views on that. And actually, over time, you know, viewers' interests change and they'll kind of naturally move away, and it's not necessarily bringing new people on board. One person that has been mentioned a couple of times in this chat is Adrian, Adrian's Digital Basement, and I have to say he's been really consistent over the years, and he doesn't do.
Yeah, he has.
You know, his videos are kind of very consistent, and his channel has been growing really, really well. You know, to the point where he's actually now bringing in enough to have gone full time on YouTube, which is fantastic. So yeah, perhaps you don't need to, you don't need to push boundaries and cause drama, and you know, sometimes just being a nice guy and you know, delivering what the people want is more than sufficient. I know that's not
About
much
you,
of a
Matt? Do you want to
conclusion.
give us your final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it's just based on the stage that you're at, right? I would argue that Adrian's channel is still in growth mode, right? He's not reached a point where some of the larger YouTubers that have 1 million plus subscribers are, to where they're kind of saturated, right, with where they are with their current subscriber base. I mean, if you it was funny, you know, I, like everybody else, watched the 8-bit guys kind of recap video, and Reese, I enjoyed your coverage on it. But the funny thing about it is that in that video, David, you know, mentioned that he didn't enjoy, right, the sim stuff, right, that Clint had been doing, and you know, and Clint commented on that video saying, yeah, I wish I didn't have to, which was funny, but it was absolutely true too. And I think that when you're in growth mode, I think you can be very consistent and just kind of improve your content. When you reach a point of saturation for your demographic, for your user base, I think you have to do both. I think you have to continue to cater to some of the people and why they're in your channel. But I also think that you have to be evolving in some way and growing and pulling in new users. So for me, the mindset of always in growth is very much true, right? You always have to be evolving. If your intent is to continue to grow your subscriber base and get in new users and things like that, I think you have to.
Okay. Yeah. My thought on this are probably not actually. I'm sure everybody knows that next week I'll probably be doing this in a bikini just to get views. I don't care really. I will sell myself for views. No, I what worries me is if I ever fall out of love with the hobby, because I have two hobbies in here. One is electronics repair and larking about on my workbench, and the other one is making YouTube videos. And I know that some people would, you know, for Glenn is a really good example of someone who the main focus of their hobby is the electronics repair, and the YouTube part is a smaller part of that. But for me, the YouTube thing is a bigger part, and I worry that I'm going to fall out of love with one of them eventually. So experimenting with these different things is I'm kind of a fickle person. I do stick to hobbies for many years generally, but I have moved on from them over the years, and I am very old, so I've had plenty of time to do it.
And you do say
Excellent.
that, Lee,
Well,
but I mean, despite how my videos might appear, I do put many hours into the editing
oh, I know
side
you
of it,
do.
the YouTube side of it.
Oh, and I know you do definitely. But there's different. I'll. It's difficult to compare us because we're very different people. But
Yeah.
I think that I'm more invested in the stats behind YouTube and I care a bit more about that than you. I would assume, but I might be barking up the wrong tree. But and you just hide it very well. Okay, so it's time to say goodbye because we are rambling on for quite a long time here. It's approaching 50 minutes. But thank you everybody for watching us. Normally I do a social media shout out here, but I think social media is dying these days. So why bother? Let's let's do this thing where we're going to actually entice you into our Discords instead. And I have a Discord that you can find in the video description. And Reese has a Discord, which you'll be able to find in the video description, which is a fantastic place to go and talk about all things Atari and ducks and
It's the best
solar.
Discord
He loves talking
by
about
far.
solar. Yeah,
Oh, I love it.
come to his Discord and demand he reinstates his solar videos. And Glenn has a lovely Discord. And Matt, what about you?
I don't. And that's on purpose. But here's the thing, though. Here's what I will say. I am on Discord, so if anybody thinks that there's a server that might be fun for me to join, please
Well, there's
reach
3
out.
here.
Yeah, I know. I'm on all of yours.
He's already in mine.
But yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, if anybody thinks there's one, feel free to shoot me an invite. My username is Polymath. Super simple.
Do you have a social media that you want to plug, Matt?
The only one I'm really still active on anymore is Instagram, that I post, but it's not.
You're so young.
I know, so young. See, yeah, no. So you can find me at the Polymath on Instagram, but yeah, if you want to communicate with me, invite me to chat.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming along and watching us, and thank you, Matt. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Reese, for making this a lovely discussion that I think I'm going to take a lot of value from this because I think we've all learned something here, and that's bikinis are the way forward. But Happy New Year, everybody, and hot tubs and bikinis and ducks.
Don't forget the chickens.
Well, the chickens can't swim. Glenn, come on.
Livestock.
You have to think these things.
I think chickens can swim, actually.
Can this one?
Yeah,
Apparently
I
be
think
able
I saw a video.
I'm going to test that.
I saw a video once.
Okay.
There you go. There's a
Cooked
video idea.
chickens can't
That's
swim.
next
second
week's
channel.
topic.
Okay. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks all.
Bye.